Blog Talk Radio.
Writing your book is the easy part. Promoting your book so readers can find and purchase it is the hard part. Welcome to the Author Chat Show, hosted by author-publisher Lynda D. Brown. Follow us at www.facebook.com/authorchat. And to contact the show to promote your book, contact me at theauthorchatshow@gmail.com. Stay tuned and listen to today's show.
Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday morning edition of the Author Chat Show. I'm your host, Lynda D. Brown. My guest today is author Edna E. Craven. Edna will be here to discuss her book, Universal Mind Revealed. This will be Edna's first time on the Author Chat Show, and we'll be right back to chat with her about her book after a word from today's sponsor.
PrimeStar Publicity and Public Relations is a full-service firm ready to fill the needs of their clients. Owner Helen Cook has more than 32 years of publicity, public relations, advertising, and marketing experience, and she focuses her professional talents on working with her clients' strengths to create customized, strategic campaigns, whether their needs are great or small. Radio, TV, print, internet, publicity, marketing, creating a social media presence, branding, client positioning, author tours, speaking events. These are just some of the services PrimeStar provides for their clients. For a complete list of services and other information about the company, please visit our website, www.primestarpublicity.com, or email Helen at helen.cook@primestarpublicity.com, or phone 903-654-0938. PrimeStar's home office is located in the Houston, Texas area.
All right, and welcome back to the show. For those of you just tuning in, my guest today is author Edna E. Craven. Edna is going to be chatting with me about her new book, Universal Mind Revealed. Now, Edna teaches Kabbalah at the Triangle Lodge in Dallas, Texas. So let's go ahead and bring Edna on. Edna, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Edna, since this is your first time on the Author Chat Show, why don't we get started by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I live in Grand Prairie, Texas, and I have a holistic chiropractic and wellness center in Irving, Texas. And my background includes 47 years of studies in mysticism and arcane sciences. And I am a member of the Ancient Mystical Order Rosicruces since 1968. And this is a non-profit organization that teaches individuals how to achieve higher level of consciousness through study and application of mystical principles. Also, like you said, I teach Kabbalah, and I have been doing this for 8 years. And I've been studying the Kabbalah for many, many years, which is the ancient Egyptian teachings of how to reveal hidden mysteries. Does that suffice? Or?
Okay. I thought Kabbalah was more a Jewish, the mysticism part of the Jewish religion. That's not correct?
Well, a lot of people think that Kabbalah is a religion, and it's not.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the literal and hieroglyphic interpretation of what Kabbalah means. They're actually keys to interpret hidden mysteries.
Okay.
And literally, Kabbalah is an oral law given by word of mouth, and it comes from the Hebrew word which signifies that which is received, that which comes from elsewhere, that which is passed from hand to hand. That's the literal meaning. The hieroglyphic meaning is an oral transmission of secret teachings, which gives direction to life in a movement without term. It means it never ends, and which is communicated in degrees. In other words, you don't get the teachings all at once. It's just as you experience a particular teaching, more is added to it. That's it.
Okay. And how did you get started? You said you've been doing this since the 60s. What drew your attention to this particular mysticism?
Well, I was 18 years old when I started studying the mysteries of life, and that is because I have always been interested in knowing who I am, where do I come from, where am I going, why am I here? And I think we all have those questions at some point in our life or another. But I started very, very early. At age 8, I knew I could reason. And so I was able to see, life about me, and I wanted to know some answers. So to enter the ancient mystical order of Rosicruces, you have to be minimum age of 18. So exactly at age 18, I entered into the mysteries. To get these answers, these are tough questions. And a lot of people are also looking for the answers to these questions, where the Rosicrucian order gave me that and have made me where I can operate in the physical plane without, or giving me more understanding as to why am I here, where am I going, etc. So this is the reason why I entered my own interest.
Great. And tell us about your book. What is it that readers would find in your book that will help them answer those questions, Edna? Who am I?
Okay.
Why am I here?
Sure. Well, this book came as a result of my struggles to know myself. And so what prompted me to write this book was actually I was studying the Kabbalah for my own edifice. I had no intention of writing this book, except when I was interpreting Genesis chapter 5 Kabbalistically, on verse 25, I had this rumbling noise that came from below my navel area, and I didn't know what it was. And I think at some point in our life we have our experiences that we don't know why they happen, but it happened to me as I was interpreting verse 25. And but I didn't understand what the rumbling noise or sound was. And then so I went ahead and started typing again, and as soon as I put my hands on the keyboard, the rumbling sound came back, except this time was above my navel area, and it went like this, boom, book, but really, really fast. And I go, book, but that's all it happened. So after a few seconds, I let it go and started typing again, and as soon as I put my fingers in the keyboard, it came back. And this time it was in my chest areas, and it says, I'm writing a book. And he said it really fast, less than a split second, but I caught it. I said, writing a book? I'm like, oh my God, I'm writing a book. And so, and I immediately fell into a prayer and asking Father to please help me render a book that was accurate and that it would be an inspiration to human beings. So basically, Universal Mind Revealed is a book that resulted from these many years of digging into the arcane science to find the answer for my being. Who am I? Where I came from? Where am I going? Why am I here? And it reveals, it has Kabbalistic knowledge that helped me understand these questions. And it comprises a study of ourselves in relationship to the world of mind and to the physical world. In this book, the meaning of the names and numbers of Genesis chapter 5 are brought to light. Revealing these were crucial because they connect stages of development in the universal mind. They express concepts, describe abstract ideas, attributes, properties of our mind, virtues. They communicate universal mysteries, all the operations of our soul, and the spiritual and physical faculties of our being, and this gives us a strong potential for exalting our soul. And further, Universal Mind Revealed helps us understand that we can harness universal forces, that we can attune ourselves with them and control their ultimate effect upon us. It can help us understand how to arrange the affair of our life so that we can use these forces as allies.
Okay. Now you mentioned in your book, and you just mentioned Genesis 5. A lot of the people that tune into this show are authors, entrepreneurs, and we have a huge Christian-based audience. So you mentioned Genesis 5, and that a lot of, let's see, I want to just make sure that I quote you here. The meaning of the names and numbers in Genesis 5 are brought to light, not only in their text verse context, but also in the way the names and numbers relate to each other. Now, in Genesis 5, in my Bible, is like the genealogy of Adam. So tell me how that lines up with what you're saying.
Well, that is actually the literal meaning of Genesis chapter 5. So it actually talks about the patriarchs of Genesis, which are descendants of Adam. Well, they're actually developments of the universal mind. Each one of these names represent a faculty of the universal mind. Adam meaning universal mind. That is the Kabbalistic interpretation, interpreted with the Kabbalistic keys provided by the ancient Egyptian mystery schools. And so this is a secret teachings that I'm bringing out because humanity is now more aware of spiritual knowledge. And so therefore, we must bring this knowledge to light so that it goes with our awareness. And so, yes, the names means the faculties of the universal mind, and the numbers is actually the activity that went on to create the faculties and how these faculties were endowed to the human soul, us, for our exaltation, our soul's exaltation. Does that explain?
Honestly, you kind of lost me there.
Okay, please ask me again, and I can rephrase it.
Yeah, it just, I don't know, it just really doesn't kind of make sense. And probably because this is something that I've never really studied, which is why I was interested in having you come on the show. Basically, my question to you, Edna, and I'm sure you probably ran into this when you explain what it is that you do, and also about your book, is Kabbalah, again, has always, I think of it as a mysticism or a religion or concept that do you guys practice like magic, or tell us how do you what do you tell people that aren't familiar with it but are now I'm also familiar with it because I know that this is something that a lot of the stars in Hollywood, I know what's her name, Madonna, was really big into Kabbalah at one time. Is this the same thing that you're talking about?
No, not at all. In fact, the Kabbalah that Madonna practices is completely different. In fact, when she was interviewed in 2020, there was a lot of controversy about it, and two rabbis called and said that was not really true Kabbalah. According to what she said, is that you read something, or you don't even read it, you just look at it and it tells you what it means. And actually, you have to study Kabbalah. You have to actually take the words and break it. You see, like, for example, chef, the Hebrew Tongue Restored by Fabrizio Olivet gives you a radical vocabulary to be able to interpret the names. And so you break them by their components, the actual Kabbalistic roots. And so SH and TH, that's how you write it in Hebrew for the name chef. Well, SH has a meaning, and TH has a meaning. And when you put it together, it gives you the actual faculty, the name of the faculty that is being developed. And same thing with Enoch. You also break it up, and the A, the E, the N, the O, and the SH. And then as you get the meaning of each one of those roots, put it together, and it gives you the name of the next faculty, and Methuselah, and Enoch. And all these names have those meanings. Once you interpret what it is, then you go to the numbers. And the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 9 have a meaning Kabbalistically. If they give you 65, you interpret 6 and you interpret 5, and then you put it together, and it gives you the meaning of what activity took place in order to develop that particular faculty. That's what Genesis 5 is telling you. Now, literally, I understand through many years of indoctrination, we are taught that, yes, these were our forefathers. Well, guess what? We have those faculties within ourselves. Those forefathers is us, our faculties. And so this is what this book is telling you, is to learn where we came from. Why are we here and where are we going? Who are we really? You know, if we really ask those questions, it's like, yes, I have a body, but I can think, and I have desires, and I have emotions. Where do they come from? Why do I have to have this kind of feelings? And so that book, Universal Mind Revealed, tells you exactly why we're feeling what we're feeling and where are we going with those feelings. I think I hope that I made myself a little clearer, but really, truly, those names, once you break it into their root components and you look into the radical vocabulary, it tells you exactly what that means. And that's what I did. I broke it into it. Go ahead.
Now, so does this kind of tie in a little bit with numerology?
No, not at all. Numerology is more, and I do not know much about numerology because I haven't really dig into it, but what I have heard is that people tend to tell you about your future and your past.
Right.
You know, they talk about incarnations and reincarnation and things like that, what you did in your past life, where, you know, your future lives and things like that. It's like almost foretelling a future or your past. It's not like that at all. These are the numbers, interpreted correctly, Kabbalistically, it tells you activities. Just what is being done in order to create, in this particular case, faculties, the soul, like that.
So Kabbalah, just to make sure that I'm understanding this, Kabbalah is more about your soul as opposed to
how your soul came to be, correctly.
How your soul came to be. So let me ask you this, Edna. Have you ever studied the Christian Bible? Were you ever did you ever study the Christian religion? Because I'm trying to figure out how this kind of lines up with the Word of God.
I understand. Well, I was born into a Catholic environment. And I practiced Catholicism for many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, what I'm doing is I'm studying Kabbalah and the mystery schools, and, you know, within the Rosicrucian Order, we have many, many Christians, Catholics, Baptists, you name it. They're all in there because they want to know more. The thing is that we are taught in churches just literal meaning. We want to know more. And that's why I entered the Rosicrucian Order, to know what I didn't learn in the church. Okay.
I can truly relate to that. I grew up in a Baptist church, and also decided, I'm not really being fed what I really need, and that actually took me on a long journey into the whole New Age movement back in the 70s. Because like you, my journey started at about 16. It wasn't until in my 40s that I actually started getting some understanding about who I was by asking the Father. I mean, I think the only person that can really tell you who you are and why you're here is the person that actually created you, which is God, the Father.
I totally agree with you.
Absolutely. And like you got your information through Kabbalah, I got mine through just reading the Word of God. And and this is why I'm doing what I do now, because if you had told me this 15 years ago, I would have looked at you like you were nuts.
You know, all truths are within us. And so if we attune to the universal forces, which is, you know, our Father, our God of our understanding, We get that knowledge. It's within us. We just got to continue to ponder into who we are and adhere, like you said, to the Word of God to help us in this time of trials and tribulations. And, because really asking ourselves who we are is a very emotional question. It's like, why am I here? Does life really has a meaning?
Exactly.
And, by adhering to the Word of God, in your particular case, that's how you got it. That is fine. And this book does the same thing. That's why when that murmur word came out, I'm writing a book, I fell into a prayer immediately because I believe so ardently in God. I said, Father, help me deliver a book that is accurate and that will inspire people. And so it has the hand of God. It came from God. It's not something that I intended to do. God did this. And He just used me as a vehicle in order to put it in writing and give it out to humanity.
Wonderful. We tend to hear that since, again, most of my audience is Christian-based. Now, I'm looking at the inside of your book, and for those listeners, the book is available on Amazon. Currently, the paperback is $17.96, and the title of the book, again, is Universal Mind Revealed, a Kabbalah rendering. And then let me just close this real quick so I can get your total title. A Kabbalistic rendering of what constitutes the universal mind, how its powers were developed, and how they were endowed of the royal priesthood of the Egyptians. And again, that's news to me because I never connected Egypt with the Kabbalah. Again, I was always, with my limited knowledge, and bear with me, I live by the airport, so you guys probably hear an airplane going right over me. I've always considered that more a Jewish thing as opposed to Egyptian. So that was, this is what I love about interviewing authors because you can definitely find out new information on here. Now, Edna, there is a question. Go ahead, sweetie.
Oh, no, I was going to say that's where the original Kabbalah came from, the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians.
Exactly. Okay. Now, as I look in your, and one thing I love about Amazon, which is why I promote them on my show, they have the look inside. Now, I have not read Edna's books, and I always disclose that I'm way too busy to actually get books to read them before I interview. So I try to go right here to get some information and discuss it with the author. I'm looking at the chapters in your book, and I see that you mentioned Enoch, but you actually call him, you don't call him Enoch, you call him Hanok. Is that Enoch with the H? Explain that to me and why that's different than what we see in the Christian Bible.
Well, there are two Enoch, okay? You have, I believe in the Christian Bible, it's E-N-O-S, Enoch, and then you got H-E-N-O-C-H. There's two different Enochs, two different faculties. The first one, Enoch, which is supposed to be the descendant of Sheth, and actually the faculty that came after Sheth, is a corporeal being, is how our corporeal faculties came to be, which is Enoch. And in Hebrew, it spells A, and then the E attached to it, N-O-S-H. This is your first Enoch, E-N-O-S in the Bible. The second one, which is in chapter 18, or verse 18, it's actually a faculty that helps man exonerate himself for wrongdoing. It's the panging qualities of the universal mind which are endowed to the human soul. And so this is why when we do wrong, we have this guilt feeling, you see? I think we all been through that through our years of expanding and knowing about ourselves. Oh, gosh, I should have not taken that dime, from my mother, let's say, for example, or hitting my brother, or, saying a lie. We kind of feel guilty about that, and we want to remedy that, and so we make sure that we don't do that again. That is Enoch, the H-E-N-O-C-H, verse 18. See the difference?
Now, and yes, and in chapter 22, you talk about something that we're all, again, those of us that are Christians that read the Bible, you talk about how Enoch walked with God, and in our Bible it's Enoch walked with God. And then, Enoch has his own separate book that's outside of the Bible called the Apocryphals. Have you taken the time to read or understand those?
The Apocryphy, I have not taken the time to study those. I believe, well, actually, I know that to dig into it, it would take many, many years of study because, I do it Kabbalistically and I have to look each word. And that takes time to develop. So, no, I have not done that. But, okay, so your question is...
Tell us about chapter 22. Yeah, Enoch walked with God. What is that about?
Okay, basically, it's the universal mind developing this faculty or having developed this faculty, walking with God, meaning the actual commandments of God, which are maxims, principles, laws, in order to help the human being eventually. Of course, we're not a human being yet. It's all being developed in the spirit before it's given to the soul so that then it can be exercised in the physical plane. So when we are walking with God, we are actually following the commandments of the Father. And, of course, they talk about the different commandments of, do not steal, do not lie, do not cheat, do not murder, all these things. Following those commandments is giving us a moral being. We become moralistic through that particular faculty. Does that make it clear?
Honestly, I'm going to be real honest with you, Edna. This whole concept is extremely foreign to me because, again, I'm not familiar with it. So, again, one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on the show and talk about your book and explain Universal Mind Revealed for those that might have a true interest in this. And I think you've done a very good job of it. Again, it's just probably just me. Does that make sense? That it's just so far.
Yeah. Well, you haven't read the book, like you said. It's so different from what I'm used to.
It's just different from what I'm used to.
Yeah, I understand. And but walk with God is like treading the path. The word that in Hebrew that talks about that is ital halek. That's the Hebrew word. Walk with God. Okay, that's hital halek, and it's trotting. And trot is the verb halek. Halek is used in my book according to the reciprocal form, going backwards and forward, literally signifying to be carried in every sense, to go and to come. In other words, we're walking with God. It's like you said, you have the word of God. You walk with God no matter what you do. You always have God in your mind, don't you? You do.
That is
I know I do.
Well, that is true, but my question to you would be, in the Christian Bible, that was taken. I take that as a very literal thing. That Enoch was here on the earth at one point, and he was so close with God in his relationship with Him that God actually took him, and he went right from earth to like heaven, so that he's in the presence of the Father. So you guys don't take that as a literal meaning?
No, that's not the literal meaning. Actually, yes, God took and examined the qualities of Enoch and returned it back to the universal mind. He didn't keep it because Enoch became a spirit. And so what it is get it back to the universal mind so that it can be endowed to the human soul. According to the Hebrew Tone Restore, and according to the findings, Kabbalistic interpretation, it was given back to the universal mind, or in other words, back to Adam, to be endowed to the human soul.
Oh, okay. Well, because one thing that I usually, and my studies have been, with basically the Christian Bible and spiritual warfare, I look at, when I read Genesis 5, what I see, especially when they talk about how Enoch walked with God, I look at that as like the very first time that God actually, what's the saying? You've heard, I'm sure you've heard of the rapture. that was like the first rapture. He took him because he was so good. God took him, and Enoch, in Genesis 5, verse 24, in the Christian Bible, it says, and Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. He was just that close to God, sort of like Noah was so close to God that God actually gave him direction to build the ark to save his family before the flood. So, again, I thank you for coming on the show and sharing your Universal Mind Revealed book and your beliefs, because totally different from, I think, what a lot of Christians, for sure myself, are used to. And it's just been a real eye-opener, Edna, so I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Sure. Believe it or not, our time is up. But before you go, if I have any listeners interested in contacting you online, how can we find you?
Yes, my email is D as in David, R as in Robert, E as in Edward, another E as in Edward, Craven, my last name, C as in Charles, R as in Robert, A as in Albert, V as in Victor, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, at A as in Albert, T as in Tom, another T as in Tom, ATT.net.
Great. And your website should be up and running in about a month, did you say? Did you tell me earlier?
Yes, it's Ancient Hebrew Kabbalah.com. And the Kabbalah spells K as in kitchen, A, B as in boy, another B as in boy, A, L as in Larry, A, H as in Henry, Kabbalah.com.
Great. When that's available, if you would be so kind as to log on to the Author Chat Facebook page and post that information on there, so that way, again, if readers would like more information, they can contact you via your newly created website.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you so much thank you so much for coming on and enlightening us with something new. And again, that's one reason why we do this show, to help promote new ideas and help authors promote their book. So again, thank you so much. And for those that are listening, the name of the book again is Universal Mind Revealed. The author is Edna E. Craven. And again, Edna, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, bye-bye. All right. So again, the book is on Amazon. It looks like it's only available in paperback. Let's see if they also have it in. Yeah, just paperback so far. $17.96. So if you're interested in finding more information out about Kabbalah, like I mentioned to Edna, when I see Kabbalah, I always think of, and I'm sure those of you that are listening have remembered Madonna talking about Kabbalah and wearing the red string. I think it was Madonna and Britney Spears and Demi Moore. A lot of the Hollywood stars were actually into this. And according to Edna, it's totally different. And again, learning something new, I always thought that was more of a Jewish mysticism. And according to Edna, it actually has its origins in Egypt. So that's pretty interesting. So again, for those of you that are authors, if you have a book and you'd like to promote it by coming on my show, please send me an email at theauthorchatshow@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to accommodate your request to get on the show. Right now, our Saturday and Sunday weekend show is currently booked up until December of 2015, but we have re-added our Wednesday morning show, and I'm actually doing a show tomorrow with author Kevin Willett. Due to some scheduling difficulties, I did an extra show just for him. But basically, we have the Wednesday morning show. For those of you that are available in the morning, it airs from 10 to 10:30. And again, the Saturday and Sunday shows, which air from 4 to 4:30. But currently, we are booked up until December. So thank you for joining us for this episode of the Author Chat Show. And we will catch you back here this 9 o'clock. We're actually going to air just an hour early, again, because this is a special show for Kevin at 9 o'clock a.m. And we'll be right. So we will see you tomorrow morning on the Author Chat Show. Enjoy your Wednesday. Bye-bye.